Get ready for the ultimate dose of inspiration and knowledge with the Give Me 5 podcast. Host Chris Gilmour shares actionable tips on a different topic each episode. Tune in now and elevate your life with Chris Gilmour.
And
I've got the clapper.
you are the clapper.
I've got a clapper if you want to clap that. Anyway, can I do the intro now?
Go for it.
Welcome to another episode of the Give Me 5 podcast. And again, Josh Smith meets with us. Josh, we got some big news from our last podcast. That
Fairly predictable news, I suppose.
it was. We did predict it was going to happen, but the official cash rate, interest rates have gone up. So they went up another 0.25% as we predicted. So that's number 10 in a row.
Yep. Yeah.
It is.
No rest.
No, it doesn't seem to be.
No relief.
With that info, we sort of we did a bit of a comparison and just to have a quick look there. So looking at one of the big four banks, the interest rates now for a variable rate is around 5.24%.
Yep.
But if they tuned in last time, we spoke about having an offset and
We were
all your
talking
money,
about that, weren't we? Yeah.
all of that. And it was quite interesting having a look at one of the big fours, what their interest rate was with an offset account, which is now at 7.77%. So
They've clearly figured out that that's what people are doing and saying,
yeah,
if you're going to try and do that and have that money sit in that account, that we don't make as much, so we're going to slug you with a higher rate. So we still win because we're the banks.
yeah, absolutely. So 2.5%. So that's huge. So
Clearly the message there, folks, is if you've got some money you plan on having in an offset account, maybe shop around a little bit more and ask a few extra questions, I guess.
Yep, absolutely. So, but look, let's get into this episode.
Yep.
Couple of things we want to sort of talk about. We've got some notes here. Want to sort of touch on what are you seeing out in the marketplace, especially around buyers, right? I'll give my take on what I'm sort of seeing, but what's the general consensus there with buyers in the marketplace right now?
There's a little bit of everything really going on. I mean, I think that, for the most part, we're kind of in in post-COVID time, so to speak. We're probably back to a bit more normal real estate, so to speak. There's plenty of bargain hunters out there. Of course,
there's always going to be bargain hunters in no matter what the market is, and we speak about that when we're sitting in front of our owners. You got three types of buyers.
Yep.
We always start with the bargain hunters. But the bargain hunters are good to have because if they are selling a home, they're good. And we'll talk about this a bit later in the podcast around your sale.
Yep.
We mentioned last episode that we've both got our properties on the market.
Yep.
And we both sold our homes on the same day. We both sold our properties last night.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Yours was a lot quicker than mine. I was sort of holding out for different sort of numbers on my one. But we'll go into that a bit more detail because I want to talk about the feelings around being a seller, but being on the other side of the fence. So it's being where the agent's selling these properties.
It's probably been good for both of us realistically to right now where the market is to actually go through the experience and have that, actually feel the emotions a little bit come into play.
Well, at the end of mine, I'm never selling another home again. So I sort of understand the emotions and the waves that sellers go through. But let's talk around the buyers. So we've got some bargain hunters because the media is really fueling that at the moment. That there's some bargains out there to be had. Are you seeing any bargains?
With that, it's probably mostly, as the media always does, they want to go on the doom and gloom aspect of it. And the media's obviously preaching at the moment that, with the interest rates, there's going to be all these people that are now just going to be absolutely bleeding and desperate to, and all of that, So the media is sort of out there saying, there's going to be all these, wounded homeowners. And so now the vultures can come in to try and prey on the thing. So, and so we're starting to see that a little bit.
Okay, so that's the sort of the testament from the buyers, but that's not actually reality. We're not seeing that, especially here in the Logan market, and we've got properties ranging from 350,000 up to
millions.
2 million?
Yep.
So we have a really broad spectrum. So we do get to see an outside view of across the board.
Totally.
And that's just in our, and a lot of people ring me and they're like, oh, how's the market? And I'm like, which market?
Yeah, which bit?
Which market? Because I think we generalize the market as, the market's all doom and gloom, but it's actually, you've got to break it down into micro markets. And that's what I'm saying to a lot of our people.
I think even like going back to the interest rate side of things, and yes, the idea that, for every rise in the interest rates, and people get re-rated and they can now borrow less.
Yep.
But when you look, for example, in, like say Yarrabilba, like where we do a fair bit, you've obviously got a lot of first home buyers there. Now, the majority of first home buyers, they go to the bank and whatever the total amount is that they're able to borrow, that's what they're going shopping with.
Yep.
Whereas if you look at, say, the acreage stuff that we're doing in Greenbank, Newbeat sort of area, they might be second, third, fourth home buyers. They're carrying a bunch of equity from previous homes in there, and they're not necessarily going and, every last cent.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing, and they're impacted by different variables in each different sector. So I think what different buyers are looking for in different markets, it's just
micro markets. And that's what I think the listeners should take away is look at what's actually happening in your suburb, in your area in particular. But like what I think a lot of people don't really think or are not seeing, especially we're still seeing multiple offers across nearly every single property. Like it's gone are the days, like 5 years ago, we'd sell a home and we'd be lucky to get one, maybe two offers on a property. It's pretty much 98% of every property that we currently have. They're receiving multiple offers. How many did you receive last night? What did that get up to?
I don't even know what the total number was. He was 30. Yeah, it was a lot. I think we had 15 of the letters. I think we got a letter O in the buyers, whatever that is. Like there was a lot, and that's what we had. 30 the inspection there last night. We had 39 groups come through, which a 5 o'clock inspection in the middle of the week.
That was a Tuesday night.
Yep, 39 groups come through. So as far as buyers go, clearly they're still responding that when they see
value.
That's it.
Value is the word. I reckon that's going to be like the buzzword in real estate this year.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if the market's up, it's down, or it's going sideways, whatever it's doing. If buyers perceive value in what they're looking for at that particular time, there's got to be more than one buyer. And we have strategies, obviously. That's our job to get in the door and what we do and to build and create that competition. And that's why we're the seller's choice, because we have multiple results across the board where we're constantly doing that. But like, it's not
we even actually had in amongst those groups of buyers there last night. We had someone from another agency that was in amongst that. Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was two people that are connected to an agency. Won't bother to mention which one, but for discretion reasons. But
sussing out what we're doing.
That's not.
Or were they
genuinely there to buy. Genuinely there to buy. And actually, I got a message midway through the whole thing there last night as the offers were coming in, basically saying, "Wow." Wow.
Yeah, you keep doing what you're doing. We'll keep doing what we're doing. That's why we sell more homes.
Yep, absolutely.
But all right, well, look, we're multiple offers.
Yes. Responding to value, and I think also maybe a little bit. There's always that age-old thing. You hear people talk all the time about the idea of what I'd really like is to buy a home that I can move into, unpack my bags, and there's nothing.
So no work.
No work. But what I think also the other thing that people need to sort of keep in mind of what that really equates to is whatever their borrowing budget is, that they can put all the money towards the property. They're not there going, hey, I need to keep, of whatever deposit I might have, I need to keep 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever it is, size
doing
for doing all that. So the idea that I can go in, I've got my deposit, and that helps to facilitate getting the loan, making the whole thing work. So certainly that's a big plus at the moment.
Let's segue into that because that's a really good topic. What buyers are actually looking for right now, and why are the homes that need work, why are they the ones that are dropping their pants to get them sold? And it's really simple because with interest rates increasing, let's just say you're earning the same amount of money, but your serviceability or your repayments are now, like we spoke in the last one, like for every 0.25%, it's how many thousands?
It was 50 grand, wasn't that the number?
I think it was 25,000 so per 2.25 that the banks will not now lend them. So like you could have been approved for $1 million, now you can only get 900. Right? And most buyers, they're going to borrow 100% capacity of what they can get from the bank. So these homes that like acreage, let's talk acreage. We'll use acreage as the example. It hasn't got the shed. So that now a shed's going to cost $50,000 depending on the size. Right. But if that property is asking $1 million and it's got no shed, the buyers are going to offer 9. Right. Or it will take longer to sell because people haven't got the cash now. The cash flow to seems to build it.
Moment, like the conversation around getting tradies. Like it sounds like that. It's the people
pain in the arse.
People would have you believe that it's as bad as it's ever been. The idea of actually getting tradies out to do to turn up and do the job, but also I guess there's question marks around material supplies and costs. Where steel's gone up 35% through the COVID thing and so a lot of people are just going, I just don't want any part of it.
I want a home that is completely done, where I can just bring my shit, unpack, and it's done, right? And then they'll just keep feeding all the money back into their mortgage. So if you are a seller or you're thinking a seller and you're looking at your home and you're comparing it to other properties, are they worth spending that money and putting that shed in on acreage? Is it going to get a return on value for them?
As always, it depends. Like certainly there's plenty of cases where it is. Well, we seem to be doing a lot of those kind of appointments at the moment. We seem to be getting a lot of people saying, come out and have a talk to us about, we're thinking about going to market. We're coming up to that. What do we spend? What don't we spend? But I think the biggest thing is that they obviously need to, with some assistance from us or whoever, ascertain what is going to add value from a sale perspective, not what's my personal taste. And if I was continuing to live in a house, what would I like? I love chandeliers. Let's put a chandelier in. That's not going to add value for me.
No one likes chandeliers.
No. You said that, not me.
But then the other discussion that we have with the seller around what the buyers are looking for is time versus money.
Yes.
Right. So if we're predicting the market, as we said in our last podcast, September, October is where we feel that we're probably then going to start seeing some hurt. If it takes 6 months to do the landscape and the grass and the gardens and build the shed, and that costs them, say, $40,000 for the example. But the market drops 100, right? Just as an example.
You've double lost.
You have, because you've lost your capital that you put into it. They just want to put into your next property. You've lost your time, and the market has, far exceeded expectations of where it's going to drop. It's always that crystal ball, isn't it? We can never really answer it definitively that that's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But I always,
as you always say, the only way to know when the bottom or the top of the market is once it's happened, and you get to look backwards and go, oh, that was it.
The bottom of the market was 2 weeks ago because we've now seen that, and I follow various coaches and personalities in real estate, and I'm getting the shits with them because every single week, market's dropping. Clearance rate was 2 from 10. Next week, market's back.
100%.
9 from 10. Dude, it's probably the homes you've got that week, the locations of that home. How did that agent...
Tip to viewers, following in each individual week, like auction clearance rates will drive you up the fall.
Don't do it, because there are so many variables, you know what I mean? You've got to look at it as you've got to blanket it, you know what I mean? So, but it just shits me when I see they all come on and they're spruiking, 9 from 10, 1 from 2, 80%.
Market's up, market's down.
Like, what is it? Dude, last week you were saying it's dropping. Look, real estate is a daily thing, I believe, and markets can swing and change, but you've got to look at it, from abroad, You know what I mean?
You got to look at the trend rather than the individual, like this one case.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be outliers, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's always going to be that one property that no one likes that ends up selling it at for a lower price than everyone expected. And there's always going to be that one that everyone loves that sells for a, like way premium. I guess that's why they don't talk property price averages. They talk median price because it takes the outliers out.
Absolutely. Well, let's go into our sales, because I reckon the listeners are gonna I'm keen as to talk about my sale and the emotions that I went through, which I didn't think I'd ever have. But
You've been a shocking seller. You've been a shocking seller.
All right, so we'll talk about mine. Put some context around it. For those that follow us online, I brought a property at auction.
Yep.
Cheap, I believe, but it needed a shit ton of work. The whole home had been eaten out.
Yep.
Like there was not a wall in that home. There was some walls that had no timber in it, right? But I always just wanted. I was bored, as you know. I get bored fairly easy, and I've changed.
Have noticed that.
Yep. And I'm like, you know what, this is just going to be a project. I've got some mates that can do all the work for me. They'll make some money. I'll make some money. I want to go through this process.
Yeah.
Right? I want to go through flipping a home. What's it going to cost? How's my profit? What does it look like at the end? And I sort of have, I think, an inside view of what buyers are looking for. So, I brought this property in Regent's Park. It cost me $360,000. I then spent $12,000 in stamp duty or fees.
Yep.
And we'll put we'll do probably a video on it as well too. And I spent $88,364 to the.
Is that what it ended up?
That's what it's cost me to put into it. And we replaced the floor.
Saved a few bucks by me and you getting out there and laying the turf.
Well, we were turf and shoveling and but we replaced all the timber through the entire home. We did new flooring, paint. We restored the roof, changed the color of the roof. We rendered the brick to give it a modern look. So when
huge difference.
it was an 80s brick. We've rendered it and got a really nice coastal color. I ripped up the driveway, poured concrete around the entire patio and a brand new driveway, which a lot of people don't do. New bathroom, new kitchen, new electrical, aircon, turf,
lighting,
fencing, retaining walls. I did the whole lot.
There wasn't a real lot that was left up and touched.
Mate, the whole thing was done. So it cost me $88K. I'm into it, $88K. So whatever that equals, 372 plus
that's
88.
Actually probably pretty good going in this day and age.
Absolutely.
Because of the contacts.
The contacts, I give them a lot of work and they look after me and it's not going to be our only one, But so I think what I'm into it, 460 or something.
Yeah, there.
So we went to market, right? Yep. So I went to auction and I'm like, you know what? I want to see what it feels like being an owner going to auction. I lasted 2 weeks. It absolutely just shitted me. You know what I mean? We were not getting the numbers. We weren't getting the traction. I wasn't getting the feedback that I wanted. And was I a difficult seller? You guys probably think I was a difficult seller, but you got to look at I was sort of doing that to see how you guys would react and say, ask me, what am I looking for? What am I trying to achieve? This was pure business. Buy, renovate, flip. I have a certain amount of profit that I wanted to make out of that property. And if I'm not going to get that, I'll keep it and I'll rent it. Market's not there. I think, what did we get? I got 7 groups through in the first 2 weeks. On a full renovated home in Regent's Park, which we should have absolutely smashed out of the park. And
it obviously looked great. I mean, as
every stage,
the photography, the staging,
every stage, the entire home. Like we have delivered the perfect home. To the market, I thought.
For in that area, that's absolutely what people.
Location was great. Close. You walk to school, bus, 7-Eleven to get your Slurpee. Grand Plaza Shopping Centre, it ticked all the boxes for a perfect investment home, right? Or a flipper. And we got to 2 weeks in, and I pulled the pin, pulled the auction, put a price on it. We doubled our numbers within 48 hours, right? As soon as I put a price on it, and I think I received, what did I get, 7 offers on it or something?
7 or 8.
And I think you guys were all pulling your hair out because I just wasn't taking the offers. And I was about $5,000 away from what I really wanted. And here I am bashing my sellers, like, yeah, it's $5,000. Like, you're going to lose more.
Take the deal, it'll go down by more than that.
But for me, I wasn't motivated. I could have just kept it. Like,
That's what it always comes down to, isn't it?
absolutely it does. It didn't cost me a cent. Like, there was no, I paid cash for the whole thing. I paid cash for all the work on it.
So you weren't, you didn't have any ongoing holding costs.
Mate, I could hold it for the next 30 years and collect a $500 a week return on it. But that wasn't the point of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was to do it.
Yep. Go through the exercise.
Go through the whole thing. So we kept it on the market, and I was getting offers of 6.5, 6.10.
Yep.
And I'm like, no, I want my 6.30.
Yep.
Like, that's the number that I want. Weeks go on. I think we're 6-7 weeks now on the market.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? One more week and I'm pulling it and I'm renting it.
Yeah.
This is now shitting me.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I'm getting feedback. Oh, the range hood's not ducted into the roof. All right, dickhead, I'll put it in. Will you now buy it? No, you won't. Like, that to me, I got really frustrated hearing that feedback. Like, I probably did come into it with too much emotion. Like, I poured all this into it.
That's often the case, isn't it? For sellers,
It is.
the emotions that come into
And
play.
I was completely away from the whole sale. I let you guys run the whole thing.
Not being your home as well, not being your personal home. You know, like the theory is with investors,
There's no
there's no emotions, but that's not entirely true because at the end of the day, it's your money. You know.
Listen, and it was, but I'm like, don't give me this feedback. Just find the buyers that want to make offers, negotiate. Let's get this done.
Yeah.
I was probably the most impatient seller in the world. I was probably in 2023, like, Gilmour's worst seller was me. So
You
and
go back to selling for other people.
yeah, man, I'm much better at that. Won't be doing my own. But anyway, we got a successful contract last night.
Yep.
So at $620,000.
Yep.
Okay. So with all of my costs, everything, you know, I've made $160,000 profit.
Yep.
In 7 months.
Yep.
Right. Because
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Absolutely.
Like if you could do one of those a year,
2 a year would be amazing.
2 a year.
Absolutely. That's
So we're gonna have to put up with you being a seller.
absolutely, mate. That's where I'm at. But again, like, we could do a whole podcast on that because it was like, that's not every home. That's not every story. I found the right home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That no one wanted, that was absolutely eaten out. Like, you know, plus I was probably fortunate enough to be in a position where I could pay, you know, to get the work done, you know, where a lot of people probably couldn't. So, you know, everyone's circumstances are different. I understand that, but, you know, I really wanted to pocket 150K out of it.
Yep.
You know, so I'm happy at 160. I don't pay any commission because I'm not paying you guys.
Yep.
Which was amazing. Yeah. So, listen,
For all the work we did.
yeah, all the work you did. All you did was the turd.
Well, that was manual labor.
And Dobby did more work than anyone. He was
true.
Absolute workhorse. But that, I went through a whole heap of emotions. Like, Rach wasn't even involved. She was like, "Oh, how's it going?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got a couple of offers. Not selling, not at this." Like, I was pretty hard on the team around what I wanted and the type of buyer that I wanted.
Yeah.
So I now have a bit more understanding and respect and empathy probably as well too around what our actual sellers go through. Like, 16 years of me just selling people's homes, like, that's just what we do. Having that actual connection and now feeling that it's probably given me a whole different spectrum.
It's good
around
fresher for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've sold homes in the past, but yeah, I don't know. This one was just different. Don't know. I think because it was business and it was, I had a certain number that I wanted to get out of it. So,
well, that's what it always comes down to with our sellers, isn't it? And it's always becomes that question mark of, are you fixated on a number and saying that's it, or are we going to market to go and dig through and find the very best offer that we can and then
make a
make a decision based.
But also too, I think it comes down to motivation. You know what I mean? I was not the most motivated seller.
No.
You know what I mean? If I can't, again, if I couldn't get my figure, I'll rent it.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd like to sell it because I want to invest that money elsewhere into another project that I'm looking
See, that's the complete opposite of with mine because I'd made the decision I'm not going to rent.
Yeah.
You know, like,
so, like let's now talk about yours, because yours was a very different scenario,
Yep.
right? So, I don't know if you want to speak about it.
I'm happy to talk about it.
Your mother has passed away.
Yep.
And it was the home that your mum was in.
Yep.
All right. So
The home that we bought for Mum
20 years ago.
No. It was only about 6 years ago when she moved over from Perth.
Oh, that's your other home.
But
He's got heaps of homes.
Yeah, but she had it we organised it. We got it all like renovated from top to bottom. And
When you brought it.
Yeah, absolutely. Bought it and renovated the whole thing top to bottom. And Mum kept it like pristine. Like really, really pristine sort of thing. So, and that was part of my thinking, was the idea of, well, a couple things, because it's an inheritance situation for me. So, the idea of, if you then put tenants into it and it becomes income producing, there's obviously tax implications and things that come from
the gains, all that.
But more than anything, it was probably the perspective that it looks perfect the way that it is right now. And if I was to put a tenant in there, from the emotional perspective, if someone then trashed it and, like, that's Mum's place, I don't know how I would react to that. But also mostly from the presentation and the saleability of it, it was never going to look better than what it. And talking about what we were earlier on, nothing to do, just like literally move into it.
But also too, you're probably on the same sort of pretense that we think the market is going to drop.
Yep.
So today is the best day to sell if we're thinking about selling this year. Do it today. So
and that one being in an area, again, like looking at
affordable,
the affordability, and even like the the interest side of things, that one being in an area, like certainly first home buyer territory, and on selling it on the day that there's another rate rise, like how many of the buyers would literally this week be re-rated.
Yep.
So that was a consideration.
All right, so it was Mum's home.
Yep.
Mum's just recently passed.
Yep.
We decided not to rent it. You want to, sell it, which, for an emotional, some people like to keep it. Keep it in the family. It was Mum's home, blah, blah, blah. You've staged it.
Yep.
Right, so you've done the same advice as what we would give our sellers: how to best present your home,
Absolutely.
how to maximize the sale, how to bring as much competition. Right,
Yep.
I don't know too much around your one, because it was bloody quick. It was 48 hours on market or whatever.
Yep.
Was there a price that you're hoping to get? Because it was at a duplex in
Well,
it's a unit.
It was a townhouse complex, but the way that a series of them, it was like a duplex. So it's like, so
it was a low set.
Yeah, the low set, but not all of them lined up. So there was just one common wall.
Yeah,
those
for the two,
and then there was to the next one.
All right, so a unit, so a 3-bedroom, two bedroom,
bed, one bath. Yep,
with a carport.
A carport, but like enough room for two behind each other, and then complex extra parking alongside of it. So it had a couple little bonuses.
Slacks Creek,
yep.
Okay, so Slacks Creek, for people listening, is in Logan.
Yep.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
Sort of low socio, sort of. Well, Slacks has probably moved up a bit.
Yeah,
like Woodridge
absolutely.
is, everyone knows Woodridge, but Slacks Creek's, right next to sort of Daisy Hill and all the sort of
straight across the highway from Daisy Hill sort of thing. And really
close to IKEA.
Yep, absolutely. Close to lots of things. But realistically, in that area, and even from 10 years ago when I was selling predominantly in Springwood and Daisy Hill, there's a bunch of townhouses in through Springwood and Daisy Hill, and you've always kind of had that thing that once the market gets to a certain point and people are looking at town, like trying to buy a house, and they no longer can. It's definitely an area where the townhouse market plays off of the affordability of houses. Very much that comes into play in that area.
We could go into it for another 10 minutes, but it was what we spoke in the last, these people that saying they can't buy in the market.
Yeah.
Well, here's the prime example. Keep renting in Paddington.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But you can buy an investment here and rent it out.
Absolutely.
And to get your foot in the door. So, let's talk to the listeners about what was the market saying? If you'd looked online, looked at some comparable sales, what is it? 2-bed, 1-bath with a carport in Slacks Creek.
Kind of all over the place.
The
bench
70, 280.
No, well, yeah, that's what most of it was. But the benchmark sale was actually the one literally next door that shared the same wall.
Okay.
The other
So the neighbour.
Yep, the neighbour.
And what did that sell?
That sold for 300 in November of 21. So
Okay, so the height of the market.
Yep.
2021 was, we were in gangbuster. Like that market was like hot.
Yes, but my observation, because I've had these and it's been a consideration, I don't believe that the townhouse market got caught up in the craziness of COVID, and we've seen a lot of follow through behind it.
All right, so 270, 280, but the best was next door at 300. We've come in, marketed the way we would market my home. We've done the same on yours. Every other seller that we put to market
Did it exactly the way that we have recommended.
staged it, beautiful photos, floor plan, video, the whole works. All right, so we've done the whole hog on a $300,000 unit in Blake Street. All right, we put it to market. We launch on the Saturday
afternoon,
right, as we do.
Yep.
And we then build that inquiry. First inspection was Tuesday.
Yep.
I remember saying, like,
I got messages from Megan on over the weekend going, "Holy crap, the phone's going off."
Yeah, but my phone was going off, and I'm like, "Where are these guys finding my number?" Like, they're calling me on this bloody unit. This is Josh's home. We're not being paid for it. I ain't doing one single bit of work on this thing, and it's a Sunday, 2:00, and I've got like 18 missed calls for this one bloody unit. Anyway, which was great.
I didn't take any calls on it. I mean, that's because, like, for me along the way as well, even off the back end of this process, I'd want to be able to genuinely say to people, like, when we go and talk to people and say, this is the way that we sell properties, and Jodie's our front line and she'll be taking the calls and all of that, that's how I wanted to sell it. So I was like, genuinely look people in the eye and go, I'm not telling you to do anything different to what I've done.
Well, we both did the same.
That's it.
I stepped away. I got my home to how I wanted it. There you go. Right. I'm going to check the ad. That's about all I'm going to do. And you were the same.
Like mine doesn't even have my name on the listing. That's
why you weren't getting any phone calls.
That's it. We put it through under your name.
Absolutely. But it's let's inquiry 4 days. First inspection was Tuesday, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. So 4 days into it. Right. And we had 39 groups through.
39 groups through. We had so the inspection started at 5 o'clock. There was people found their way into the complex at like 4:45. First offer came in at 5:06. Like literally it happened
straight away. Okay. 39 groups come through. I think there was 15 groups that ended up making offers, which in total to about 39 offers. Or we'd have to look at the numbers. I've got it there.
It was heaps.
It was like I think in our team chat we were all like, the good old days.
Just like COVID.
Like bang, bang, bang. Yeah, because we have a system that no one else uses. That allows us to watch it. And so tell me, as a seller, you were sitting there last night. Watching your mum's home being sold. On your phone. You're watching every offer come through. We had some banter. We actually put a bet on which buyer was gonna do you want to know who won the bet? So I
still to be determined. Still being decided.
Technically, neither of us. No. There was the latecomer that came in. I said buyer A is going to get it. You said buyer H. I was just looking at the pattern of the offers that buyer A was making. They were quite strong and quick and fast. So that's quite assertive from a buyer's point of view. But what did we price the home at?
Offers over 289.
Offers over 289. So you actually strategically placed it lower than the best sales. In the feedback of where it online says it should sell for, computer generated 270 to that 300 sort of price point. So that was quite clever.
We wanted to place it right around where the one next door had sold. So ultimately it was only 10 grand less than that.
But it's better. It was renovated. It was staged. Our marketing was better. Our floor plan, our photos, the way that we then built and worked our buyer.
Next door actually came through and looked.
I did. And then we were able to place all that inquiry and competition, into the home at that one particular time. And that's our job. Our job is for the seller to get as many eyeballs on that property, get them through the property, build that competition, build the buzz, that energy around that home, and then
and see who wants to buy them.
absolutely, like we're very vocal around. That's what our job is to do.
Yep.
Right. We executed that perfectly. Right?
Absolutely.
Within 4 days.
Yep.
I can't wait to see the review that you leave our team.
Yep.
Right. As a seller, because you've had the dream run.
Yep.
But you didn't take the highest offer, Josh.
No.
There was 2 other high offers
Yep.
higher, which were both the 2 that we thought were going to buy it. It wasn't, but the beauty about being on that system, you could see their conditions. You could see, finance term, building and pest terms, deposit, and settlement time. So you actually chose to take the 3rd highest.
Yep. Because it was
Buy.
what? No finance condition.
Okay, so it was a safe bet. You felt it was safer. So you as a seller was prepared to, and what was the difference in the end?
$5,500.
$5,500.
So like, it's a decent amount, but it's also. But I was happy enough with the price that we achieved.
So tell us, what did we get to price-wise?
So 345 was what the highest offer was.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So listed at offers over 289, strategically, competition, beautiful presentation.
Yep.
Got them all through. The highest offer that you had on the table within 4 days, 345.
Yep.
I think there was a 340-100.
Yes.
Which was my buy that I said
and
was
then
going to
339.5, I think.
339,500.
Yep.
You ultimately went the 339,500 buyer because it was a cash deal, meaning no bank valuation, right? So the valuer can't come in and go,
I don't think it's worth that.
No, someone has just paid $39,500 more than the highest offer ever in this complex.
Yep.
Deal crashes, back to square one again. Take the cash deal. And you said that in the message last night in our team chat.
Yep.
Take the cash deal.
Did you see the message that we actually got through from the guy that made the people made the highest offer?
No.
They actually sent through a message and said, well, like once Megan sort of said to them, look, the sellers decided to take the other offer and cash. They actually sent through a message that said, understandable, cash is king, sort of thing. By the way, like awesome system, awesome process. Like super happy with the whole way that you ran the thing. Would love to buy a property through you guys. So
that's why we sell the most times.
And like and that's with that system.
That's right.
Buyers, even in missing out, the buyers felt
they're happy
because it was transparent and fair.
And I don't want to talk about our system, right? Because I know agents watch and listen to our podcast. Right? It's what we do. It's what we've got. Some will know, some won't. But we build that transparency. We build that trust. Like these buyers have been jacked around so long. I'm going to make an offer. Half an hour later, the agent rings.
In that message, they actually made reference to something along the lines of, I really hate best and final. So they like the idea that they had an opportunity to to run with it a little bit.
And like when we're, we know a traditional, and I always say traditional agents. I don't call myself a traditional agent. If you're still running an auction the way that it's been done for 100 years, who says that's the right way? Times change. We change. That's what we do at All Properties Group. We're constantly at the forefront of it. But they had that opportunity. We're not bullshitting them. You know what I mean? They walk away happy.
They could see for real exactly where they stood the whole
time.
And
they walked away happy that they missed out. And they were the highest offer. But it, as a seller's point of view, it gave you that flexibility. It gave you an insight into the buyers who you felt was probably going to be. And ultimately, you went the easiest way.
Well, and as I guess, as we say to people when we're talking about the way that we do things, the reality was that we had, in essence, an auction buyer and conditional buyers competing against each other. And that's where, as we say to people, you can't get that at an auction because you've got they're standing, and then you've got the other people off to the side waiting in the wings. We have both of them.
Hey, there's another podcast which will just absolutely blow up online. The old auction versus private treaty debate. It's constant. And I'm in both camps now. I've always been private treaty. We ran auctions at the time when auctions were needed.
We had a good run of auctions there.
We went over a year, which is the longest we've ever done. But we've changed. Because the market's changed. but they keep flogging the same way because that's the way that they get.
The big franchise groups is like a big ocean liner. They can't change direction.
Yeah, apparently not. But anyway, so look, I think that gives the listeners a bit of a context and a bit of insight of what it actually feels like being the agent, but also being a seller at home. So
it is interesting, you know. I mean, and I guess
you weren't as bad as me, right? Like it started off like I think we'd launched, and about 45 minutes later, you were asking, was there any offers on the home? And then in the other team chat, I just said, look, can we piss this seller off? Like, this is not a seller that we sort of work for. We pick and choose our sellers, who we want to work with and who we don't want to work with. And if you give us grief that early, like we'll kick your ass, like you're gone, mate. Like, don't waste our time. Like 45 minutes in, I didn't know if you were joking.
No,
I was pretty sure you were joking, but it was actually funny because I think Megan fired back and went, we've actually got some we've got people already keen to buy this.
But we're going to need you to go and look at the property.
Absolutely. We want to, unless they're in the state, of course. So
no, look, I think it was a good thing to go through the process. And again, it just, I mean, for both of us, just reinforces the idea that when we're talking to people about, look, this is what I would recommend, and, doing it with your own
we spruik it, and we follow through on our properties, so we can actually, legitimately firsthand say, well, this is what I did on mine, or I understand.
Here's the result.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, good podcast.
Time to go and get another one.
What, another flip?
I'm not laying turf again. Like, no, you call.
We'll get Dobby and Alan.
To someone else.
Yes, they're on a wage, so they, no matter what they're doing,
get out and sell someone else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
For sure.
Well, thanks. All right, great podcast.
No problem.
There you go, guys. There's another episode of this Give Me 5 podcast. I'm Chris Gilmour, Josh Smith from All Properties Group.
See you again. Bye.